Good morning. Well, this is unexpected. I said Merry Christmas at the end of my last video, and here we are, mid-December, out again. I didn't think I was going to have the time. I didn't think we were going to have the weather before the Christmas period, but we've got amazing weather. There's a big high pressure system which has pushed over, giving us hopefully flat seas. I've got an amazing wife who's very tolerant of my hobby. And as for time, well, I still haven't got time, but the pre-Christmas jobs will catch up some other time. We'll get those done. So we've got slightly overcast weather here. I think it's going to be clearer out to sea. That doesn't really matter. We've got, like I said, hopefully flat seas, virtually no wind. We've got a brilliant full moon tide, and I'm going to fish the whole of the ebb. That's the plan. So there's a mark that I know quite well that can fish very well on the ebb tide for bass. So that is the plan, to get out there and try and catch some 50cm bass, hopefully on light tackle, but I'll talk about that when we're out there. So we're heading down the estuary. Lots of bird activity in the estuary this morning. I've got a mug of tea. I've got breakfast in the oven, and there are bass to be caught. I'll see you out there. I'm sure I said a few minutes ago that the sun might be out to sea. It isn't. It was a little bit lumpier and bumpier than I was expecting. There is actually virtually no wind out here, but there's quite a bit of swell just hanging back from the wind that we have had. But yeah, perfectly doable, perfectly safe, and perfectly acceptable to go fishing. So, like I said, the aim of today is bass. Minimum landing size 42cm. I'd like to get them 50 plus. My bait table is exactly 50cm, so there's the target. You can land 2 fish right throughout the year, apart from February and March. So we're still in the catch and keep season, and that's the target, 2 50cm bass. So I'm going to try and fish that light. So I've got an Abu Ike, 7 to 24 gram. This is 6'9". It's really whippy but strong. And when I say fishing light, this is what I mean by light. It's the rod end. I don't particularly believe or see the point in fishing gear that's too light at the terminal end. You're just going to get broken off, and what's the point of that? So at the other end, nice and simple as ever. I've got a sliding boom. Have you seen John Locker's latest video on the fish locker? Catching skate up in Scotland. He's using a sliding boom. It looks like a bicycle pump. Anyway, watch it. It's a brilliant video. Amazing tackle. I've then got about 8 foot of fluorocarbon, and I'm going to start with a big lure. It's spring tides, so lure fishing is ideal, better than bait fishing. Live bait fine, but I couldn't catch live bait in the summer, so the chance of catching it now pretty slim. We're fishing in 45 meters of water, knot and a half at the moment on the ebb. I've only got a 3-ounce lead to match this rod. If that's not going to get it down and hold the bottom, then I'll change rods and up the lead a bit, but yeah, we'll give it a go on that. Starting off with a big lure in the hope that it's going to attract the bigger fish. Doesn't always work. If they're only feeding on tiny little sand eels, then that's what they'll target. So the hope is that it's going to wheedle out the bigger fish, but might have to drop down to a smaller lure. Right, I can see what the drift is now, so we will reposition, get this down. Right, let's see. I might be a touch early here actually. I thought I'd be out here for the first of the ebb, and it's still actually flooding. It's only a guide. The tide's always a bit later out to sea. What little breeze there is from the southwest, and the swell is from the southwest, so that's just pushing in the last of the flood for a little bit longer. Yeah, we'll give it a drop and see how it goes. Yeah, this might not work for a bit actually. When I arrived it was 1.5 knots. We're now down to 1 knot as it's swinging from the flood to the ebb. So we'll give it this drift and see how it goes. But if it if it does drop off to slack, I've brought a little bit of bait with me. I might just pop that on the bottom until the ebb gets fully established. Yeah, as I thought, there's not quite enough tide yet for the lures to be effective, but that will come. So swapped it out for a bait, and we've got a bit of a cocktail here. Just a short trace going onto the Sea Beast 10-0, and that's just a wrap of bits and pieces that I had left in the freezer. A bit of black lug, there's a bit of crab, there's a pout fillet, and some small sand eels, all wrapped up for a juicy scenty bait. So I'll just swing this around, pop that down, see if we can find anything with that. One juicy, oozy, smelly bait heading down to the bottom. See if anything wants to eat it. Who knows? Not really the aim of the day. Just I'm a bit surprised by that tide actually. Got it completely wrong. I think we're another hour at least before it's going to ebb. But it is slowing down all the time, so we're getting there. It was a knot and a half when I arrived. Literally 10 minutes later, it's down to a knot, and another 10 minutes again, it's about 0.5. So we're getting there. Maybe half an hour. In the meantime, bait's on the bottom. Something just knocked the bait. I'm just giving it a bit of line. Trouble with putting a big bait out, it is going to be pestered with small fish. Some areas it's dogfish, some areas whiting. Here it's pout. But we'll see. Give it a little bit of line and see if it's anything more interesting. Well, that first drift with bait has produced nothing apart from scavenger bites by the feel of it. Let's reel up and see what we've been fishing with. The tide still hasn't swung and the southwesterly's picked up a little bit, which is going to hold it off a while. So let's see what we've got at the bottom here. Yeah, pretty much being chewed up. So I think I'll rebait and try a different area of the reef for a minute, just while waiting for that tide to pick up. Let's give this a little go. It's a little wreck within the reef system. I've never had that much success on it, to be honest. Yeah, that wind's picking up, and it's still going to be a little while before the tide's going to be good for lures. The nearest good wreck is about 3 miles away. And I don't want to go there for two reasons. One, it was netted very recently, so I don't think it'd be that productive, but really the aim of today is to stick with this reef and fish the ebb, and if I go to the wreck, no doubt the ebb will just pick up and I'll be back again and I'll just be darting around here, there and everywhere and not actually doing anything. So try this for a minute. It's worth a drift. I've just upped the lead to from a 6 to an 8 ounce, because we're in a bit deeper water, 57 metres. And we are, yeah, that drift's going to work out alright, just coming up on the wreck now. So I've rebaited, it's just another similar smelly cocktail. Give this wreck another go. There it is. Spin it a bit, sorry. Mainly black lug and little tiny sand eels. Finally hooked into something. It's not big. The ebb's just starting to set in actually, so whatever this is, we'll sort this out and then re-tackle with lures and give it a go for the bass. was inevitable. Big old pout. Right, let's get sorted out for lure fishing. Give this a go and see what sort of a drift we've got. We've got wind against tide now, hopefully the tide's setting. So I've given up on the thinner rod so I can put a 6-ounce lead on just to fish a bit more vertically. And also because there isn't very much tide yet, I've gone onto a smaller lure in the hope that what tide there is, that'll hold that away from the main line and it's not going to tangle. A bigger lure is just going to dangle up and down and get tangled as you're fishing it up and down. That's the theory. Yeah, the ebb tide is definitely here, but the wind's just holding us off a little bit. So we're only drifting across the ground at just 0.2 of a knot. So want a bit more strength in the tide, really. But I'm not ready for lunch yet, so we'll give it a go. Well, that's a nice fish. It feels a bit more pollock than bass to me, but something's on the feed. Oh, I don't know, there's a bit more fight in it now. It's a nice fish, whatever it is. Beautiful pollock. And you can see that little lure in its mouth. Yeah, very nice fish. Happy with that. Now the tide's doing what we wanted it to do. Right, sort this one out and try again. So drift one pollock, and then a work phone call. I must switch it off, I'll go further out. Right, the ebb is setting in nicely now. We're about 0.7 of a knot, so the water's probably moving a bit more than that because the wind's holding us back a little. So yeah, just nice, and that'll only get better in the next half hour or so. Will the target fish be achieved? We will see. This reef is quite long. This section of the reef is quite long. And sometimes the bass will sit in a tight line and sometimes they're spread out right across it, so I'll just work my way across it for now, a drift at a time, and see if we can find them. I've been joined by another boat on the reef, one of Kingsbridge's finest bass fishermen. Absolutely nothing on this drift, nothing on this one. Change of lure, but still no luck. The increased chop here shows that I'm right on top of the reef, but still no bass. No bass, but I did find the seabed on this one. Another section of fishless reef. One of the boats in this clip is doing well. That's why they call him the captain. And on this drift, I've found some kelp. And what feels like a discarded fishing net. So only Cornish viewers might get this, but I think the reason for no bass so far is that I had a pasty on board. I still have got a pasty on board, but it's not in its original form. So pasty's gone, hopefully the luck will change. I've re-rigged, put the old favourite on, red-tailed Joey. Nope. Still no. Nope. And still absolutely nothing. Well, I reckon I must have had 30 drifts over this reef with various different lures. I'm not hitting the bass at all. I don't know why. Conditions seem favourable, the tide is really good for it, the lures have worked before. I don't mind not catching bass, it's sort of part and parcel of fishing. The worst thing is that I'm going out to dinner with some friends tonight, sort of a pre-Christmas get-together. Oh, unless I can pull some up. Nope. Yeah, going out with some friends, a pre-Christmas get-together, and one of them is on the boat over there fishing with me. He's got 2 anglers on board and they've caught 4 bass between them. I'm never going to hear the last of it. So I'm trying something completely different. Last ditch attempt to pull something out of the bag before I go home. If they're successful, I'll show you what I've got on the last drift. Might possibly have saved the day with something. Not sure what it is, quite a bit of weight to it. Well, I don't know about save the day. So I've got these lures rigged like mackerel feathers really, and it's foul hooked to pollock. That'll go back nicely. Right, I'm still over a rocky outcrop that I'd wanted to fish, so I'll give it one final drop. Well, that was a funny old day out. Got a little bit caught out by the tide at the start of the day, so understandably didn't do a lot of slack water, just that little pout on the bait. That was fine, not really in the area for or prepared for bait fishing. But as soon as the tide turned and we were on the ebb, I was straight into that really nice pollock, and I thought, we're in. It's going to be a good day, and then nothing. Unbelievable. I think I lost 4 or 5 lures on weed, and it's not as if the fish weren't there. My mate was catching them, and no doubt I'll hear about that all evening this evening. Yeah, it was a good day because it was an unexpected day, so there we are. Can't grumble. That is what fishing is like sometimes. You think all of the boxes are ticked in terms of weather and tide and what have you, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. Not sure when I'm going to get a chance to edit this video, so have a lovely Christmas or New Year, and see you in the new year, hopefully for some successful winter boat fishing. Cheers! So I thought I'd finish off this episode with some really simple pollock fish cakes. Several people have asked me what I do with pollock, and this is one of the things that I do with it. Yeah, and it was the only fish that I caught yesterday. I didn't make a particularly good job of filleting the pollock. I ended up being in a bit of a rush. Did it out to sea. Should have really waited till I got in where it was a little bit calmer. So anyway, what I like to do with pollock is fillet it off, skin it if you're taking the skin off, lightly salt it, put it in the fridge for a couple of days, then it goes well in the freezer, or it's good for using there. So I've done that, and I've split it in half lengthways. So I've got the 2 smaller bits from behind the belly, and then the 2 top fillets, which are chunkier, and they'll go in the freezer for later use. So the stuff we need for these really simple fish cakes. Some potatoes which I've just boiled and they're just drying off a bit and cooling. We use Marfona from a local farmer, good all round potato. Any potato will work really, but a waxy one is better for this. We need a mixing bowl, we need a grater, some capers, and that's it for the basic fish cake for what we need. And then I like to put some seasoning with it. You can put what you want and as much as you want. So I'm going to use some smoked paprika, some cayenne pepper, some Cajun spice, and then we've got salt and pepper, butter, olive oil, and no fish cookery is complete without a glass of white. Mine is Chardonnay. Cheers. And it is a really simple recipe. So I've just see if I can handle this a bit better. I've just drained off a few of the capers, so we're just going to roughly chop a few of those. Again, this is something you could leave out. You could use parsley, whatever you like, whatever takes your fancy. And you can have them as fine or as coarse as you like. And the same for the fish cake as well, really. Go for it as fine or as coarse a meal as you fancy. That's that, just pop that in the bowl. Switch your fingers. Right. So because I'm in the garage, haven't quite got. I need a cameraman. Because I'm in the garage, I haven't quite got everything I need. So those potatoes are cooling off a little bit. The fish that I am using, I'm just going to put a little bit of salt and pepper on there, which I'll do now. Nothing else, because I don't really want to introduce any more moisture to this dish. So that's just going to get wrapped in cling film and go in the microwave for a minute, minute and a half, something like that. So I'll go and do that and come back. So the fish has had a minute and a half in the microwave. The potatoes are boiled, drained and hopefully cool enough to handle. So just going to flake up that fish in there. Yeah, so the thing about the Cornish pasty, my brother bought as a charter trip out in UK a couple of years back. So me and my son went, and brother and one of his boys, and I'd called the skipper up beforehand just to say that I was planning on bringing some pasties along, and did he and his crew want them? Absolutely not. And then I asked him about it later. And this is how I heard it, at least, that the Cornish tin miners invented the pasty and they wanted to keep it all for themselves. So, hang on a sec. They wanted to keep the pasty for themselves, their invention, so they put out a rumour or a myth that it was unlucky to take a pasty to sea. So the Cornish won't take a pasty to sea, and that's why I didn't catch any bass. There can't be a better explanation. So the fish has gone in, just flaked up, and the potatoes just going to grate coarsely. I probably have by volume a little bit more potato than fish, but totally up to you. So yeah, I'm only making a little bit here. And that, I'll show you in a minute. The oven that had my breakfast and my pasty in, that'll be enough. I got mine from Amazon. They've got a 12 volt and a 24 volt connection there. They've also got this particular one has a little vent on it, so if you're cooking pastries you can let the air out, and if you're cooking anything stew or something like that, then you can close it up. If you get one of these, check the power rating, make sure your battery's capable and your 12 volt power supply is capable of it. I don't want the blame for melted cables or flat batteries out to sea. So I've got 2 batteries. On my previous boat I had 1 battery, but when I was taking stuff like this, I had a jump start kit to charge that up, and it can go flat and charge it up when you get back. So that's a solution if you've only got 1 battery. But yeah, they're really good, especially for the winter months. Oh, I want to put some bits in there yet. Hang on. So a bit of pepper, a bit of salt, and the spices I mentioned earlier, a bit of Cajun seasoning, bit of cayenne pepper for just a touch of heat with it, bit of smoked paprika, and before I get my hands dirty, right, so just mix all that up. If you prefer your fish cakes very fine, you could do this in a mixer if you want. I like mine coarse. And there we have it. Now, so then you can make small ones to have as a starter, you can make larger ones. I'm going to make a couple of medium-sized ones. Just get them all in, get them into a nice shape, just work it a little bit. I think I'll just cook one for now so you can see how it goes. Now let's do a couple. So out of that little bit of pollock and 2 potatoes, there's probably 4 medium-sized patties, something like that. I like these spices for pollock. It will take spice well, and personally I think it benefits from a little extra flavour. So hopefully you can see from there that they're fairly coarse, lots of chunky fish bits in there. If they're too wet at this stage, or when you're mixing them up, if they're too wet and they're going to fall apart in the pan, if you add some breadcrumbs in with that, they'll go really sticky. In with a mix it all up, they'll go really sticky, and then they'll hold well in the pan. So for the pan, this little hob here has got a fan in it, so I hope it's not going to be too noisy. Right, I'm not trying to be a chef. I like this t-shirt, the colour of it is. Right, bit of olive oil. That'll do for that. Just let that warm up a tick. What can I do while we're waiting? Cheers. Right, just a little more. We'll pop those in. A little knob of butter to help it along. There we are. You don't want to see the whole process, but that'll just sizzle away for a minute, and I'll bring you back when they're ready to turn. Right, they've had a couple of minutes on the first side. While they were just doing that, I've just used up the rest of the mixture, so we did get exactly 4 fish cakes out of that. Let's give these a turn. Essentially, everything that went in the pan was already cooked. The potatoes were there, the fish was pretty much there. It had a minute and a half in the microwave, so it's just warming it all through and getting a bit of colour on the outside. So that's going to have yeah, just a couple of minutes on that side to brown up, and they'll be ready. Simple pollock fish cakes. If you are making them, you can make a larger one for a meal. They're really nice actually. A larger one for a meal or a couple with a runny poached egg or a fried egg on the top. Really, really nice. Or you can cook them if you have got an oven. You could even take them out to sea, they warm up well as well. Or you could put in there a bacon sandwich, or take some soup, or cheese and toast, whatever you like. But whatever you do, don't take a pasty to sea. It doesn't work. Thanks for watching. Cheers.